What's up YouTube? I'm coming here today with an Evilswarm deck profile, April ban list and post primal origin. So I wanted to do this deck profile because I'm going to sell them tomorrow, not because I don't like the deck or anything, just because I need the money. So I thought I'd do a little deck profile just before I send these off for the last time. It's one of my favourite decks in the game. It's probably one of the first decks that I picked up and got competitive with. I mean, the deck does get a lot of hate, but honestly I think that it is definitely like one of the most versatile, and like if like to really play Evilswarm well, I don't think it's as autopilot as people make out. And yeah, I personally think it's like currently the best budget deck in the game. I can't think of anything else that's cheaper than Evilswarm that does as well as it. Perhaps Kirkion, but I mean, Giga I still think is actually a little bit dearer than Evilswarm. So I mean, this is like if you're looking for a good budget competitive deck, like definitely pick up Evilswarms. I mean, it is really like the extra deck will set you back a lot. But other than that, like generally like the Ophions and stuff, like they're not too hard to like get a hold of. So I'll just put this aside for now, and I'll talk about my deck choices. So one Rescue Rabbit. Very obvious, no need to explain him. He special summons 2 level 4s from your deck, so Heliotrope when he's banished, and yeah, just amazing top deck, great opening card. Just, I mean, it's probably going to be dead late game, but I mean, he is level 4, so if you manage to keep him alive, you can still make something with him from your extra deck. Yeah, you would like always play one, just too good. Next, for the best monster in the deck, Kirkion. He is your 1 card XC. He's what you're going to tag in and out with your infection. Without a doubt, this deck would be nothing without him. This is like probably one of your win conditions. He's really good. He's again an amazing top deck, and just getting to him like mid game to late game, you're in a really good spot. 3 Heliotrope, because you need to play some vanillas for your Rescue Rabbit targets, and honestly I think he is one of the best vanillas in the game, and just because of the fact, well, you can actually use him in a deck, and he's so big. 1950 is like not a lot of like kind of simple like normal summons can get over him, and he can't be Fiendish Chained, so I would definitely always run 3. Heliotrope is just too good. 3 Mandragora. I ran this at 2 for a long time, but you find yourself like you need to get to some Evilswarm monsters as quick as you can. Even if you have to hold this in your hand for a turn, it's not bad, because you can go like XC next turn into Ophion just by special summoning. He's your Cyber Dragon, he, whatever. Mandragora is really good. 50, like and also the thing about all Evilswarm monsters, they always have 50 more attack, so I mean she'll just get over some 1500s. Can't really think of anything, but I mean you're always going to use it for effect, so that's why you play her. Another absolutely amazing monster, Mandragora, Evilswarm Castor. He gives you an extra normal summon. He's your Pollux, he's your Nikitama. Castor, you know, open him and an Evilswarm, it's like, and some back row, you're doing well. Another one of the best monsters in the deck, Thunderbird. A lot of the time you don't need to, you won't need to XZ, because you can literally just sit on this guy. Like if you fear like a Blackhorn or something, you can like literally just sit on this guy. He becomes so big when you banish and when you use his effect, and you can just do so many stupid plays with him. Like if you run Dark Hole, you can like banish him and he'll come back in the next standby phase. If you torrential, you can banish him. He just gets out of the way of so many things. And like he's like, this guy sitting on board with an Ophion, it's like, you know, you're probably won. Now onto spell lineups. I play 2 one-offs, Book of Neg 1 and Reinforcement of the Army, just because you want to get to your caster as quickly as possible. And Book of Moon is just really good for, I mean, it is like Neg 1, but it is probably one of the best spell cards in the game. Just you can stop an XE play. You can maybe like stall out for something. Like, it's just got so many versatile plays. Like Bukumin is just really good. I play it in like every deck. And now two pandemics. I don't think. I mean, just with the new like a couple of extra cards I'm gonna mention later, there just really isn't any space, and I don't feel you need three. I mean, the format has become quite trap heavy, but I feel like the deadliest traps that hurt you are Blackhorns and Solemn Warnings, which this doesn't do anything against. So I feel like two's good. I mean, it's nice to open going second, but in general, like your pandemic isn't gonna do much for you, because I mean, honestly, like you don't even need to make Ophion against a lot of decks in the current meta. You can just sit on Thunderbird and he's a pandemic in himself. There's just like so much. There's not enough space. That's what I feel. So I feel two is good. It's searchable. I mean, it's an amazing card, but I mean it can clog. So I feel two is really strong. This is Soul Charge, and it worked out surprisingly well. I didn't think Soul Charge would be that great in Evilswarm, but honestly, it's just so good. I mean, it's like an extra Kirkion. It's amazing. I mean, you can bring back 3 monsters from your graveyard and a Kirkion and still go like Ophion, Key Beetle, and just whatever you need. Like, it is honestly so good. And in Evilswarms, you shouldn't be taking too much damage from your enemy anyway, because if you're taking damage, you're probably in a losing situation, so you would have lost anyway. So the life point issue isn't too great, I think. Honestly, I was considering running this at 3. It is so good, just because now with the hands being probably the biggest problem for this deck, so charging back like some of your things for like Dweller and like Ophion, it's so good. I would really consider 3, but I like 2. You don't want it to clog, but Soul Charge is really strong. And I might get some stick for this as well. I'm only running 2 MST just because you have your searchable pandemic, and honestly, I'm not a big fan of like blind MSTing unless I mean, you can't really go for game with Evilswarm. If you're going for game, you kind of like you summon all your guys and then you pandemic if you need to for a torrential, and I just feel like pandemic and MST together sort of do the same thing that you want them to. And obviously game 3 you can side in the game 2 you can side in the third for any problem cards, which honestly Evilswarm doesn't have a lot of problem cards apart from things maybe like Kaiser, Decree and Skill Drain. So decks like that you would want the third to be sided in. But I really think 2 is all you need. I mean, you've got your Infestation Infection, which acts as a way to tag your monsters in and out if they get into any danger. Thunderbird can run away from things, and you have your Pandemic for your Ophion. I think 2 is good. Now onto the traps. I play triple Fiendish Chain. I feel like these should be breakthrough skills. I just don't have them, so I mean, I haven't tested breakthrough skill in Evilswarm, and they're probably better with the current meta. But I feel like Fiendish Chain is kind of a lot better in Evilswarm, because this deck's, again, the biggest problem, I'm going to mention this a lot, the biggest problem this deck has is hands. So stopping them from attacking you and like maybe using like next turn setting up to 101 it or something, or make a Dweller, like the fact that this stops attacks, it's really good, because I mean it's gonna help you out so much in your hardest matchup. I feel like 3 Fiendish is just I mean, it's breakthrough skills without a doubt like better in general, and it's better in 9 out of 10 decks, but there are a few decks that I feel Fiendish is stronger in. And I mean, I haven't tested it, I don't own the cards, so breakthrough could definitely work. I'm not saying it's bad, but I just think that your Fiendish Chains are something you need to, and you can stall out with them if you want to Xyz next turn. And all the staple one-ofs, just they're at 1 for a reason. They're really strong. This deck is mostly traps. You want to stun your opponent as much as you can. Evilswarm deck has always been a sort of anti-meta stun deck, and yeah, just like using this with a Pandemic or Thunderbird, it's so good. Solemn Warning just because Solemn Warning, Compulse because there's so many Xyz decks. and I guess it gets rid of the hands for a turn, so you can like prepare yourself or something. I mean, Compulse has its uses. A lot of people don't like it, but I've always been a fan of Compulse just for the extra deck stuff. And your bottomless. I mean, some people don't even like bottomless, but I mean it's there like just to ruin your opponent's plays. Just stun as much as you can. This is what this deck does. It stuns and stuns and stuns. And then I play one copy of Blackhorn in the main, just because I mean everyone's gonna go into their extra deck. Always gets wiretapped. I don't know why for me, but I would still play it. I would play two if I could, but the deck has just I don't know. I mean there are a couple of things I could drop for more, but I mean you don't want to run into a deck that doesn't really exi too much game one, because you're gonna have a lot of issues if you're sitting on this doing nothing with it. Like against Bujin, for example, they don't really need to exi too often, so there is that. And I play two Deep Prisons because again the hands are a massive problem for the deck. I'm gonna do a video talking about the hands in detail, but like the hands themselves set, like obviously if you're not dumb, then you don't need to like attack into a hand and stuff obviously, but the hand's strongest point is when they start crashing into you. That's when the hands are deadliest, and I feel like the Deep Prison, you know, it's at 2, so I'll play 2 because it's, again, the deck has an issue with hands. And I play 2 wiretaps because this deck suffers to Blackhorn a lot, and I mean, I don't know if people are running too many of it. Some people do feel that Madolch is a bit of a difficult matchup, so they will main things like Blackhorn. And so using this to stop your opponent's Solemn Warning or whatever, it's just really great. And you know, making them put back a Solemn Warning into the deck, like chances are it's going to be dead by the time they do draw it again, if they draw it again. So I like to wiretap. I mean, you could drop this for something else, but I personally don't like being stunned. I like to do the stunning. And then I run 2 safe zones. I feel like any deck that can abuse Key Beetle Lock should. Like there's really, like in the current meta, there are no outs to Key Beetle Lock, because I don't really think people are running things like Ouroboros, which is an out without a doubt, but I just feel like the Key Beetle Lock is so relevant. It is so powerful. I mean, even like you can just sit on it on a Key Beetle Lock and deck your opponent out. I've done that so many times just because the opponent literally has no answer to Key Beetle Lock. And I mean, Evilswarms aren't really a thing, so people don't really consider playing things like Ouroboros. But I mean, I always side this out against things like Constellars and Dragons with their skill drains and stuff, so I think Safe Zone is really, really good. Like, the amount of games I've stolen just by not even like doing anything just sitting on a Key Beetle and literally just making my opponent go a time and not being able to do anything. Like, this is really, really strong. I do side it out sometimes, but like just so many decks don't have a response to it. Like Bujins don't have a response to it unless they're playing, like I said, Ouroboros. Just I can't, like, obviously, I mean, things like Madolch can easily get rid of your Key Beetle Lock, but in general, you're not gonna find too many decks that are running Ouroboros nowadays. So I feel Key Beetle is still relevant. One Infection, it's the best card in the deck. You need to play one. It's so good. I personally believe this is the deck's win condition. Like just tagging your monsters in and out. If Mirror Force or something, or Deep Prison or whatever, just tag your monster out. Again, like you don't need to go into Ophion as much as you think. So just being able to tag in and out like a Heliotrope or something, it's honestly like it's the best card in the deck without a doubt. And for my last card, this might surprise a lot of people, but I got this idea from one of my friends, and I main one Macrocosmos. Macrocosmos hurts every single deck, literally. Like every like competitive deck, I mean, can just be blown away by this and have absolutely nothing they can do. It's shits all over the hands. It's gonna destroy Dart World. It stops Kirkion from plussing off Gigant. It's so versatile. it hurts your Kirkion, I suppose, but honestly, this one card in the main deck gives you an out to so many things game one. It's just an amazing card, and yeah, I feel like this format, it requires you to main one. I mean, why wouldn't you? It's just so strong. The issue I have though, I mean, it is clashing with Kirkion a lot, but you can play around it really easily. I mean, it's really good. Again, it's for hands mostly, because that is your deck's biggest issue. And yeah, that is my 40 cards, all of them. And I'm gonna do some honorable mentions later for the main deck, but I'll just quickly go through the extra deck. 3 Ophions. You'd be surprised at how quickly you go through Ophion. He like loses to things like hands really quickly. So you play 3s, your boss monster. Just, you don't even need him for the stop level 5 and higher, but I mean, it's good if you run into like something silly at a tournament, someone playing something with high level cards and they can't do anything. Like, just this deck has such a good rogue matchup because of Ophion. 1 Bahamut. Some people like 2. I don't think 2 is necessary. He's great. So minus, but I mean, if you take something clutch, like I remember the best thing I managed to pull off at our locals was opponent goes like Star Eater turn 1 and I just Bahamut it. So it's really good if you can afford the resources to make it. And all your generic one-offs. What else is there? That's generic. I suppose these are probably the most generic things. Everything else here is stuff I would probably want to talk about more. Yeah, I mean, just Cowboy steals games. Honor Arc, you might even want to play 2. Dweller, you might even want to play 2, depending on your locals and stuff. Direwolf just gets over problem things on the field. Honestly, I can't really think of a time I've needed to make him an Evilswarm, but you know, they're there. The option is there. And Exton Knight, you would consider him generic, but I feel like Evilswarm should play 2. So this kind of like destroys the whole budget theory, but to make this deck really amazing, I would play 2, because honestly, 9 times out of 10 going second, I'm just gonna go to turn 1 Exciton. I mean, why not? You know, and he's a Kirkion target. He's a pandemic target, which I think is nuts. Just play 2 of these guys. I obviously can't afford it, but I feel 2 Exton Knights is necessary for Evilswarm. And I'm playing like this guy. I can't find my Ouroboros. I would probably play Ouroboros over this. My stroke he's alright. I mean, he gets over problems, so he's okay. 1 Ragna Zero. It's a new card. Fire Fist is a surprisingly hard matchup for you. I mean, not that many Fire Fist players are still around, but if you do happen to come across the odd Fire Fist, even Bujin player, this card's really good and it pluses a lot. Like, if you get this guy's effect off twice, it's like you've probably won. I'm playing 1 Crazy Box for the skill drain matchup. I mean, it's very rare, but it's an option, you know, and your extra deck should be full of options, so the space isn't tight. Just, you know, why not? If it ever happens, you know, if you ever want to half your life points and stuff, that's always an option. 1 Key Beetle for the safe zone lock. I would consider running 2. I just don't have a 2 to show. I would probably drop maybe like Cowboy. I don't think Cowboy is that great in Evilswarm, but just looking through my extra deck, maybe drop the Crazy Box perhaps for a second. But yeah, Key Beetle protect your Ophion. Apart from safe zone, you can protect Ophion. You can protect your infestation infection, which I feel like is the strongest play. Like infestation infection, you know, I truly believe that's your win condition. So protecting that from any MSTs, especially the cost of infection is so harsh. Shuffle a monster into your deck and then like your opponent MSTs, it's really bad. So using him is pretty good. And for the last card, I play 1 Evilswarm Nightmare. I think this is the most overlooked card in the extra deck. Just any dark players, I feel, should definitely run a Nightmare. if you can spare the extra XE like off of Soul Charge, like this guy just sits in defense, and anything you come up against, like Kirkion, like okay, special accelerator, okay, set it. Special null accelerator, set it. And just things like what's it called? I believe he can be used in the damage step. I'd have to check that, but I'm pretty sure I read recently that Oh no, it actually says in brackets during the damage step. Okay, well that's wrong. So you can't use him against hands, but I generally believe that he's like, you know, one of the most underrated cards, and I feel like Dark players should really play him. If this camera can focus, I'll try to get it up again. So it's not even once per turn, which is I feel is the strongest point. So I definitely think one Nightmare is good for the extra, you know, just whatever that you need. So that does it for my deck profile. I've got a couple of honorable mentions here. So you may consider playing this just for fun. I mean, why not? Because it's actually hilarious to go like BLS, like in an Evilswarm, and your opponent's just like, what? Why are you playing BLS? And it's like, I mean, you've got light targets. That's the thing. Like, you should be exitoning like turn 1 if you're going second, and you know, like running triple, like 2 or 3 Veilers alongside with him. Like the issue is like this engine isn't very good this format because Veiler is kind of trash right now. But like in general, I mean, just for fun. I mean, it is an option. Like I've seen it work, and yeah, it's worked before. Definitely like topped like a couple of events and stuff. So I know it's there. Lagia is a great extra deck option, but the thing is, I prefer running Zombie World over DNA Surgery in my extra deck. Side deck, sorry, just for the Boojins, because some of them might run Decree, and that's obviously going to do nothing for your DNA Surgery, so I believe that Zombie World is better. And Zombie World Key Beetle is like GG for his Boojins, so... but I mean, if you prefer DNA Surgery, Lagia is a really great card to use. One Skill Prisoner. I used to main this during Mermail format, but it's not that great because you can't use it in the damage step. So, you know, I think it could be used in the damage step while it's in your graveyard. I'm not too sure about that, but it's a decent side deck option for, I don't know, things like Fire Fist if you like still see them around. But not that Fire Fist is too much of an issue, but I mean you will find them. I think that really does it, I guess. I mean, you wouldn't want to play other things like you could maybe like go Mind Control. That's a decent option. Upstart potential. Drop maybe a Wiretap and the safe zones or something if you don't want to run that. But like these are other options as well for you. So anyway, I think I've rambled on long enough. I'm gonna miss this deck, but you know I need the money. But yeah, let me know what you think. Maybe show me your builds, what you guys use, and yeah. So thanks for watching.